Hello, everybody. This is Etienne Marcel Petit, the Sports Inquirer, and welcome to another edition of Fighting Peaches. We're going to be recapping Georgia State's football's home loss to South Alabama in Sun Belt play that took place on October 23rd, highlighted by, or at least our coverage of it, with the post-game press conference of Georgia State football head coach Dell McGee. Before we get to Dell and thoughts on the contest, as always, to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership to sportsinquirer.net, pyramid siphon news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter/X, Instagram, and Facebook. And finally, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our audio and video hosts, which include YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. I was actually able to attend this contest, and Georgia State valiant comeback in the second half. Just fell short against Georgia. Georgia State fell short against South Alabama to fall to 1-7 on the season, still winless in Sun Belt play. Let's hear from Coach McGee, and then we'll have our thoughts and analysis on the contest. Enjoy.
Really a tale of two halves. First half, defensively we couldn't get any stops. Second half we did. Played complimentary football in the second half. I know, and I talked to the team about this too. There was a lot of plays before the fumble that happened in the game. So I just told our players to make sure they stick together, not point fingers at anyone. No one's trying to fumble the ball in that situation. So I made sure I addressed the team, make sure they put their arms around Rashad because there was plenty of opportunities before that play for us to make a difference in the football game. So that'll be on me. Thought our players, played for 60 minutes, but it's just a tale of two halves, and we can't let them jump out the way they did in the first half. We had a lot of corners down. We ended up playing Tyson McCrary, who was a walk-on. He came in and did a good job, and Sam McCall and even Tyler Scott played some minutes. Just really, really injury prone, and just proud of the guys' effort overall. And we just got to take the bye week, get back healthy, and play for our name, play the best version of yourself the remainder of the season, play for pride, and all those things that come with playing the football game.
What wasn't working in the first half? What was the conversation like at halftime to kind of get the effort you did get in the second half?
I wouldn't say it was the effort. I think it was a lot of new guys that were playing some positions in the secondary and just didn't execute. They executed, I think, in the first half every third down, and then when they didn't get it on third down, they got it on fourth down. So they were 100% scoring in the first half, and that makes it tough when you don't get any stops. And some of the third downs were very long. I mean, they scored a long explosive play touchdown on one of those third downs. And just giving up those chunk plays like that is always a recipe for disaster.
What ultimately did you hear on the field about the upholding of the fumble call on Rashad?
It was upheld. They said he wasn't down, so I can't, I don't. Maybe it's the camera angles in this deal. We don't have a lot of camera angles at games like this, and so I can't answer that.
What were you able to do well just offensively in the second half, just to make that comeback and even the score? Just what did you see from the offensive side in the second half?
Yeah, it all started with the defense. They started the half, got a 3 and out. Offense went down, put points on the board. Defense did another good job of stopping their offense. Offense went down and scored. So they were doing the things that were needed for us to get back into the game. You wish you could have got a touchdown instead of a field goal. And even on the last touchdown, we told the defense to allow them to score to give us a chance with the ball back. Luckily, they did run the ball in the end zone because we didn't have but one time out left. And if they just get tackled there, then they could pretty much kneel it out and don't allow us any time to have an opportunity to get the ball back.
We've been talking about for the past few weeks the rushing game, and we've seen an impressive rushing game tonight. What was the strategy behind that improvement?
I think the O-line came off the ball, backs broke tackles, had good run reads. The quarterback had a couple of runs where he added to that total as well. So it was really a cohesive effort with O-line, receivers blocking, and backs and quarterbacks carrying the football.
What can the team just do better overall? You mentioned just a slow start, and you've just been falling behind in these contests. What can you do as a staff, as a team, just to not be behind by so much and having to make these comeback efforts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, first half we had, we were out without Chums. BB went down. Deuce. Walker went down. And then we ended up playing some guys that hadn't been really playing and just gave a lot of explosive plays in the first half. And just like I said earlier, the third down conversions, and then if they didn't get it on third down, they got it on fourth down. So we just got to play a lot better in those critical situations and get stops like we did in the second half. So I thought the offense moved the ball in the first half. I didn't think we were stagnant. It was just a matter of not getting any stops of their offense.
Can you talk about the play of Kedrick there, kind of your impact defender, getting a sack and a half, another TFL as well?
Yeah, he filled in for Kobe Owens, who also went down. He played a good game, but I just have to go back and watch, the tape and see all the real part of the game and see if it was, more than just stats, because sometimes we get caught up with stats and sometimes we're not doing our job when we're in the game and the stats get magnified. So I have to go back and look at the tape and see what and who did well and how they played.
We've also talked about the two quarterback system that you have here. Are you ready to make one decision about who would permanently start throughout the rest of the season?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious because you didn't see the coach, TJ Finley, the last couple of games. I'm not saying that, we won't play another quarterback, but I think Cam Brown did an outstanding job. And also, just speaking on Cam Brown, I think some things got misconstrued about the things that he has going on. Is nothing that is of anything of his behavior. He's a model student, comes from a great family, and when that time comes, he will let the world know what was going on. But he's done a outstanding job the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately, we didn't get the W.
Well, I wanted you to say it, Coach. It was obvious to me too. Now, I remember a few weeks ago, you also said there were some internal things going on that were impacting the team. Have those things been resolved, without giving too much detail, of course?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh,
There's nothing that is bad or he's a bad kid. He's a great kid. Comes from a great family. Does things the right way. He's a model student, and when that time comes, he'll let the world know.
How do you sort of regroup? Is bowl game out of the picture, losing season confirmed? I guess, how do you get the guys back after the bye week?
Yeah, it's all about, internal pride, coaches included. We got to make sure that we put a game plan together for Coastal, get healthy, and, we got to put the best version of ourselves on tape. I mean, just because you don't have things out in front of you to necessarily play for, you're still playing for something, and that is pride, and we still got a chance to win games. And we got a lot of winners in that locker room and on our staff, and I expect nothing but them to put their best foot forward the rest of the year with whoever we have that's able to play.
You've mentioned some of the injuries, but the defensive struggles have lasted a little longer than that. As you're now heading into another open week, do you contemplate greater changes on the defense side of the ball, maybe with coaching responsibilities with the extra time?
We'll look at everything. I can't rule out anything, but like I said, when you got so many new guys that are playing and calls are kind of blown, we just got to look at the tape, take a deep assessment of ourselves, and make the proper decision. But I don't have a lack of confidence because those same players, minus a couple, played the second half and they did their job. So it's something that we got to make sure we're taking our practice habits to our performance on the game night.
And the last one, I just want to ask about Jordan. kind of got more of the run in the second half. They were running the ball. Just what you saw from him in the running back.
Yeah, he did a good job of hitting holes, running hard, breaking tackles, but the offensive lines be complimented as well, as well as the receivers blocking downfield. Like I said, I'm proud of our guys' effort the second half. It was just unfortunate that we couldn't finish the game with a W, and that's just the biggest disappointment right now. And I know we got some guys in there hurting because they pour a lot into this game week in and week out, and everyone's going to have a salty taste in their mouth, and that's always a tough deal on a bye week. But I'm proud that our guys did prepare and on a very short week, and South Alabama had a longer rest time, recovery time. So our guys are to be commended for putting in a game plan and having a chance to win.
Right. And that was Dell McGee, Georgia State football head coach, as the team fell at home to South Alabama, 38-31. Just my general thoughts on the contest. It was really a back and forth affair, but it also was a tale of two halves, if that makes sense. And we'll get to the end of the number statistics for Georgia State, but really bad start for the team. They did actually. I shouldn't say bad start. No, when I say back and forth, this is what I mean by that. South Alabama started off with a touchdown pass from Bishop Davenport, who finished with two TDs and 280 yards passing for the Jaguars. He threw a touchdown pass to Jenkins, and then Cameran Brown, who actually finished the game with four touchdown passes and 241 yards passing, threw his first of two touchdown passes at Ted Hurst to tie the score at 7. Then South Alabama came back with another big touchdown pass by Davenport to Scott. And the response was for Georgia State, Cameron Brown to score with a touchdown pass to Murray, Dennis Murray Jr. So the score is 14-14 in the first quarter. And it's just thinking, okay, it's going to be a back forth affair. But then Georgia State's offense just stalls in that second quarter, and South Alabama, was able to score two additional touchdowns in the second quarter to take a 28-14 lead into halftime. So it's just your offense starts off pretty well, responding to South Alabama's attacks, but ultimately the defense just has a lull. And then halftime comes, and it's just a big transition. In fact, the lone score in the third quarter was Rickman's 32-yard field goal to cut the deficit to 28-17. And then Georgia State in the second half, or especially in the fourth quarter, started to find the offensive flow. And it was interesting to talk to my colleagues where you think getting back into a game involves passing and throwing the ball, but Georgia State really relied on its rushing attack and actually ended up outrushing Georgia State outrushed South Alabama in the contest, 199 rushing yards total for the Panthers, and with several touchdown passes from Brown to Hurst and Hollier. The Hollier touchdown pass with 9:38 left in regulation gave Georgia State the 31-28 lead. So Georgia State worked their way back, and from being down on double digits, actually took the lead in the fourth quarter. But then South Alabama was able to kick a 23-yard field goal, tied the score at 31 all on a 23-yard field goal. And then, unfortunately, and that's what Coach McGee was talking about at the very end, a critical fumble by Rashad Amos that ended up being recovered by South Alabama, and they were able to drive down the field and get Bullock with a 4-yard touchdown run with 149 left in the fourth quarter, and that was the difference maker. But overall, it's like they just aren't. Georgia State hasn't been able to put together a complete game. We've seen the defense have major lapses, still giving up 38 points. They have not had a game, I think maybe only one this season, where they haven't given up 20 plus points in the contest, and it just really shows there's the struggles of the defensive unit. And Brady, my colleague from who covers the Panthers. Just talk about, will there be defensive changes? You do have to look at the coaching staff, and I think the changes are really happening by the reality of injuries to the linemen and the linebackers. And Coach McGee mentioned the secondary. So that defense has just not been able to avoid getting the injuries in that unit. We saw that happen overall. But you look at the contest and you look at the numbers. You say Cameran Brown, who played the full contest, had his ups and downs like every other quarterback. But we talked about that last week, or even coming into the contest last week. Played against Georgia Southern, played the full contest. He played full contest again this year, or this week against South Alabama. And in KB Media, another colleague asked Coach McGee about that, where trying to establish that starting quarterback, a permanent one. We've seen Finley play, even Christian Veer, but now we know Brown is the established guy. But he threw for 241 yards in the contest, has several solid rush. He actually rushed for 67 yards in the contest. So you look at that, brings you to 300 plus yards of total offense from your quarterback. You think that's good. Hurst got the ball, 5 receptions, 110 yards, big 2 touchdowns, as I mentioned. But then defensively, you made those adjustments or made improvements in the second half. But in the end, you did give up the final 10 points on South Alabama's final 2 possessions. So this is where they are right now. Georgia State now 1-7 on the season, still winless in conference play. Bowl eligibility is not going to happen most likely unless there's an outside shot. You still can get a bowl with 7 losses. It's pretty hard to do. There's other factors that come into it, but 6 wins gets you bowl eligibility guaranteed, pretty much. It gets guaranteed unless there's some unique situation as far as the bowl alignments. But if you get 6 wins, you're in a bowl, and the most wins they can have now in the season, Georgia State, is 5. So now it's time for the Panthers. We'll see what happens with them. They do have an off week and do visit Coastal Carolina in the near future. But you just have to see where this program is right now. And if the followers of us, you did see we were there at the presser before the South Alabama contest, and Coach McGee, and we're going to probably do a separate breakdown of what he said at another time. Maybe during this off week, give us a little time to do that. But he broke down just where the program is with NIL and the transfer portal. And I asked a question about the different the firings of coaches in the middle of the season. I wasn't saying that Dell is in jeopardy, but we've seen what's happened at Penn State with James Franklin and Billy Napier at Florida, and on and on and on. Where does Georgia still? What's his thoughts as a coach and his fellow colleagues? But it ended up turning into a really good. He broke it down pretty well as far as what he thought of the current landscape of college athletic, at least high school, college football, and just ties to high school football and the transfer portal and how that all ties together. But the point is, at this stage, you got to worry about coaches and players maybe having their eye on the transfer portal, having their eye on their job security, because it's not I won't say it's a lost season. You still have games to play, but that bid for bowl eligibility and beyond is not going to happen. So we'll see what the Panthers do as they progress through the rest of the season. As always, thanks for listening and watching this latest edition of the Fighting Peaches. You can always go to our website, thesportsinquirer.net, which is a central hub for everything that we do. You can also go to our audio and video host, which include YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. And you can always go to our social media platforms on Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, and more as well. This is Etienne Marcel Pursuit, and until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.